So imagine this is your life, right? This sand representing the situations, the relationships, different areas of your life, just spread out. Now, you'll notice there's certain parts of your life that are going great, and there's certain parts that just aren't working for you. It might be relationships, it might be the stress of work, it might be this nagging sense of something being missing, like one of those dark spots over there on the table that you haven't quite been able to fill. So our typical approach is to try and move the sand around. So we'll say, okay, let's shift some of this there. If I can move some of this there, then maybe that'll work. But what we're going to find is that we keep on ending up, like, check for yourself. Do you end up seeing similar patterns in your life? So, I get this a lot. People say that, that they're stressed at work, for example, and they find that they recreate, they seem to recreate that same stress or experience that same stress in the next job and the next job. And they might get momentary relief, but then find that it comes back. Or they may find that, trust is this issue that's always there. It's like get, I can never really fully trust the people I'm working with. I can't fully trust even people in my relationships because I find that they keep letting me down. It may be something deeper than that, like a sense that you're not free. And it's like I wasn't free there. And then I thought if I finally got my Harvard MBA, that would give me choice and freedom. Or if I finally got to the VP level, or started my own business, that would give me that freedom. But then we find that, well, it's still not really changing. Like, the details are changing, but something deeper isn't changing. So, so this is kind of what's happening here, is that we each create, we each show up with a certain energy, we show up with certain patterns of thinking, and you could imagine that as a vibration, as an energy that's going out across your life. And that's what's happening here. You can see that this particular vibration that is being put out creates this pattern in your life. So that's what's creating all the patterns in your life, which is you, and the way that you show up moment to moment, different areas of your life. Somebody who shows up, for example, not trusting themselves, will find that I'm finding it difficult to trust others, because in order to trust them, let's say they mess something up. Actually, what I have to end up doing is trusting myself that I can handle whatever happens. So if I don't see that I'm actually not trusting my own ability, I'll find it very difficult to let go and empower others. And as they're not empowered and they're not trusted, they don't have the ownership, they don't have the relationship with you to then actually be at their best. And so then you might find that they're not doing what they said they would do. And it looks like the problem is out there. It looks like the problem is out there in the sand, when the problem is actually within you and the pattern that you're creating. What happens when you actually change something deep inside you? This is what happens. There's a shift inside you, and now you create you have a new energy about you. You think differently, you feel different, you feel joy instead of fear, you feel ease instead of stress in the same, I was going to say in the same situation, but even the situation itself changes, you see, because the situations are those patterns of sand. So when somebody actually fundamentally shifts at a deeper level, something deep inside them, their perception of everything around them actually changes. Even the circumstances change. Because take, for example, somebody who feels like they're not valued. And they say that nobody at this company values me. Like I'm doing all this work and I'm not valued. And they can point to the sand, they can point to the situation and the circumstances to give examples that they're not valued. What they don't see is that shift, that energy that they're putting out is that they don't value themselves, for example. So that's why they're even staying in that job in the first place. Or that's why they're not speaking up. They're not actually being heard. And so they're not actually creating the change that they could otherwise create. So when somebody changes that thing in themselves, they show up differently. They show up as somebody who does value themselves. And just through them doing that, the situation around them changes. The people around them change. They switch roles. They leave the job. They move up. They create new relationships. And this can happen incredibly quickly. So this is just this is something for you to reflect on. How am I showing up that's creating these patterns in my life? So if I'm finding that there's things that I want in my life, whether more joy, more freedom, more creativity, more love, more connection, how am I putting the responsibility out there in the sand and in the situation of my life? And what would it take for the transformation to come from inside me? I mean, what would that mean for me if something changed deep inside, which was then reflected outside? It's something for you to reflect on, because if you think transformation is, if you think the changes in your life are primarily dependent on things outside you, then you're looking in the wrong direction. I encourage you to look at who you are, even right now. Who are you right now in the way that you're watching this? Are you watching this video with the energy, with the perspective of judging it? Okay, is this right or is this wrong? Well, I don't agree with that. Are you looking at it from the perspective of, oh yeah, here's a fun distraction? Or what if you watched this with the energy of this will change my life at some level? You would show up differently, you would listen differently, and you would reflect differently. And therefore, you would actually see the things in your life that would match that. And you would see this as a powerful video, as valuable for you, And it would be. And that's from you creating it that way. So this is just some food for thought. I'd love to hear your reflections if you want to share any with me. And have a wonderful day.